Hey, Jimmy, have a good Raven today. We can dive into it. This comes to us from Lord Robert of House Blackbird. Dear sirs, let's talk about Craster. I understand why the Night Watch tolerates him. He is a necessary evil, plus he is not with Mance and he provides information. What I don't understand about him is why the others need his sons. We know they are in need of some kind of a gene that is in the Starks. What they're trying to get is perhaps a warg, greenseer, magical blood to empower their numbers. From what we know, there is no clue why they would need inbred sons of a bastard wildling Craster unless he has some sort of special gene or power in his bloodline. My tinfoil theory for this Raven is that Craster is actually Blood Raven's bastard. It would answer the question about why the others are coming for Craster's sons with that special greenseer gene. Who do you think is Craster's father? What do you think the others are up to? What do you think about Craster, and what is your opinion? Wish you all good health. Thank you all for your work. I really appreciate your views. Lord Robert of House Blackbird.
Well, Robert, thank you for that, Raven. I think that this is a pretty interesting one, and I don't know if we'll ever have the true answers for this. Craster giving up his kids is one of the more interesting things. Like in the show, we do it, everything happens basically the same. But for some reason in the books, I have always found it to be a lot more interesting whenever I read it. And part of the reason is because the whites are much different in the books in some ways. They seem more intelligent than they do in the show. Less zombie and more almost mythical in a way. So I don't know why they're taking Craster's kids specifically. Is it just the best, constant churning out of people they have that they can turn into whites? Possibly. Uh, is there a special gene required? And who is Craster's father? And where does his lineage come from? These are all great questions. The one thing that we can say for sure that is in the books, the whites are still, and the others, whatever you want to call them, White Walkers, they are still yet to be as fleshed out as they were in the show. And I think this is where a lot of the details are going to be different because the show did get away from a lot of the fantastical elements of the books. And I have to assume that George is going to take a lot of time in Bran's POV, like we talked in last episode, and kind of hammer this out and hammer out some of the details. So we might not get direct answers about Craster and his lineage, but we might find out indirectly through Bran possibly why the whites liked Craster's kids so much and where that deal came from. Why don't they just kill Craster? Like, are they intelligent enough to know that he is producing these kids? They're just a different beast in the books, and I think a lot more intellectual. What do you think, Matt?
So what makes that kind of interesting is that the only way to create a White Walker? Because the first White Walker, in theory, the Night King would have been the show Night King, perhaps there's one in the books, would have been created by the children of the forest. In the books, though, it's possible it's not exactly ever specifically stated, but it's possible that the White Walkers existed before the children of the forest.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And the thing I'm looking up here is talking about how, the White Walkers are the ones who actually speak as well. So the White Walkers are the
Right.
one that speak Scroth, which is the language. Whites don't
Right.
speak. And another big, difference that I know some people are saying, well, duh, but I'm just for the first time in a long time, I'm really thinking about the White Walkers here. The whites can actually be affected by normal weapons. They just don't feel any
Right.
pain. They'll just keep coming
Right.
after you. But the
They're
White
essentially
Walkers
they're
are
essentially zombies.
yeah, the White Walkers are actually immune. Like they're actually immune to normal steel and other things. They can
Right.
only be hit by obsidian, Valerian steel, all that stuff. So it does then beg the question, you said species, which is a really interesting way of putting it. And these are the intelligent ones.
Yeah.
So they have to have some sort of agreement. Like, has Craster talked with a white? You know what I mean? Like, how did it start? Is the question.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what makes it really interesting. Because another thing is the show sort of, I mean, it does show them as these like different creatures. Like the whites wear armor and are tall and ride, like horses and stuff, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's like they clearly have some kind of, like, they're not just pure zombies. They have an army of the dead. They have an army of zombies, but
Mhm.
they are able to sort of think at some level and and do things, right?
Yeah.
Um like the Night King sits up there in the episode where they go to get the white to take back to Cersei. He has to know that like the Night King has to know that he could go out to that little area, in the pond or whatever. And then it seems like he has a spear and he takes down a dragon. Is he waiting for the dragon? Does he know that the potential of a dragon that could come? Like that was never something that was really fully explained. I don't even know if we're going to have a scene like that take place
Well,
in the books, even if we ever get it. Again, that's assuming there is some sort of Night King character, which I'm still a believer of.
yeah.
Whether it's Euron leading it or something, I still fully believe that we will have a sort of central White Walker character. But in the books, it's almost the way George describes them, it almost feels like the White Walkers are even more intelligent than they are in the show.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
there's almost like a beauty to them.
That's what I said. They're almost mythical. Like they're almost
Right.
in the Bible, the actual description of angels is very disturbing. I don't know if
Right.
you've ever looked in, so part of
Oh
me
yeah.
kind of thinks of that, like where it's
Mhm.
like such a presence, but also horrifying at the same time. And with the White Walkers, it's interesting to think about like how intelligent are they? Even more intelligent than humans? Like, do they have intuition about things? Do they have green dreams? Do they have a green seer gene? And maybe that's where the link is between them and humans, and that's why they like kind of like what the Raven is saying Craster maybe has a green seer gene, and that is the common link that makes them able to make new White Walkers. Who knows?
Yeah, because like in the books, we don't really see White Walkers in the books that much.
Now we
I
get
think there's
the
on I
Night's
think there's two.
Watch.
I think there's like two scenes. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
Prologue, Night's Watch is what I'm thinking of, and I'm sure we're forgetting. Oh, I mean, there's the attack on Lord Commander Mormont, right where John.
But that's a white.
That's
That's
a
not a White
white. Yeah,
Walker.
that's a white.
Yeah.
So I really think it's the
Yes.
prologue and then the Fist of the First Men, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm just gonna pull it up here real quick. The prologue. Just because the prologue of a Game of Thrones
And
that I
Dance with
have.
Dragons, Bran,
Yeah.
Bran, yeah,
A,
Bran
a
being the
shadow a shadow emerged from the dark of the wood, and it stood in front of Royce. Waymar Royce was the
yep.
character. Tall it was and gaunt and hard as old bones, with flesh pale as milk. Its armor seemed to change color as it moved. Here it was white as new fallen snow, there black as shadow, everywhere dappled with the deep gray greens of the trees. The pattern ran like moonlight on water with every step it took. Like it sounds almost like this, like powerful dark, like they use other things too. It was alive with moonlight, translucent, a shard of crystal so thin that it seemed almost to vanish when seen edge on. There was a faint blue shimmer to the thing, a ghost light that played around its edges, and somehow Will knew it was sharper than any razor, right? And so it's this sort of powerful thing. The other halted with Will saw its eyes blue, deeper and bluer than any human's eyes, a blue that burned like ice.
Yeah. Also, Sam the
Sam,
Slayer. Yeah.
right? Yeah, Sam's is kind of the one where like he sees one. And why does it not? That's another thing is why doesn't it kill? Well, Sam kills it essentially, but
Yeah, Sam somehow figures it out
right.
and stabs him with the dragon glass. I mean, they're very reminiscent to, and I said this last episode, but this is very reminiscent to the Scythe from Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, which are also like this ancient race that are very mythical and pretty to look upon, but like almost hard for humans to understand. And there's a lot of lore behind the Scythe, and the White Walkers are heavily inspired. I would say almost a 1-for-1 with the Scythe, except that the Scythe are nowhere near as evil as the White Walkers are, which always makes me wonder if maybe we're going to get like, are there any good White Walkers, or are they just strictly an apocalyptic, event slash people? And what's another thing, man? We always like we have to think about is like White Walkers are moving now.
Exactly. Yeah.
What
Oh,
were they doing before? What were they doing? And Gray Area, who's a friend of the show, has speculated that the moment the White Walkers came alive was whenever Rhaegar
died.
Targaryen was slain at the Trident. And I love that personally. Like, I think that that's a really good. And she has a big video on it. We don't have to get into all the details here, but we have to ponder. Like, were the White Walkers dealing with Craster presumably before all of this? Like, I don't know.
Right. Well, I would say so, because Craster, because it seems like he's been around for a bit. I don't know how old he is, but I would say in his 40s, 50s is what he sort of seems like. But he has so many wives and kids. I mean, you'd have to think he's been doing this for a long time. Mormont seems like he's known about it for a long time. We could look at, we could look up.
It just makes you wonder, like, what was the catalyst for the
Do we
White
know?
Walkers to...
Do we know when Jorah Mormont became? He was 900. He was the 997th Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. So we can sort of do some math here. Let's see here. So he was born in 230. He became Lord Commander 97. So he would have became Lord Commander when Jorah sort of takes guard. So Jorah is born in 254. So when does he take place and cause his dad to go? I would say Craster's been doing this for at least probably 20 years, maybe longer.
So it may be the reason why the White Walkers are moving now. Maybe they have enough kids. Like, maybe they have enough, right? Like, they were building. I really hope that George doesn't shy away from these explanations. And I don't necessarily need to know who Craster's dad is, but like, I need to know more about the White Walkers. I need to know more about them as a race. It's very important.